right, so I woke up this morning and I was editing this thing and the Wrestling Observer newsletter dropped and it said that The Rock has informed the WWE that he will not be at WrestleMania 41. I don't believe that, and I still think everything in this video that I'm going to talk about as it pertains to The Rock is still going to happen. I think The Rock will be at WrestleMania 41, and I think that he will beat Cody Rhodes for that title. So I don't know where I'm going to stick this in the video, but there you go. I'm just gonna keep on talking now. Is The Rock coming back to WWE a good idea or a bad idea? We're going to talk about that today on Good Idea, Bad Idea. This is, of course, the show where you guys submit your controversial wrestling topics, and then I let you know whether I think that particular topic is a good idea or a bad idea. Other things we're going to talk about today: Obafemi losing the North American title to Tony D'Angelo, and Triple H's luscious locks. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it. The first one is from Angel Zeros, and he says, The Rock retiring the fuck out and stop taking main event spots from the real world champion CM Punk. You guys can see the real world championship. Poor CM Punk. He thought he had the main event for Bad Blood locked up with Drew McIntyre after that vicious blood feud they had, and they put on a match of the year contender. But then the AEW real world champion got relegated to the show opener thanks to DWAYNE "The Rock" Johnson showing up, not even saying a word, miming his 1, 2, 3. By the way, this kind of made me laugh a little bit when he did 1, 2, and then threw up these 3 right here. It reminded me of Donald Sutherland's little speech to Kevin Costner in JFK. You should check out that movie. It's really awesome. This is supremely heavy. By the way, I know some of you are like, oh, it was a bad idea that Steve put that X on the AEW replica title. Nah, man, this is like one of my most prized possessions, the CM Punk Real World Championship that I modded. This is a really good idea. I'm really happy with this one. Anyways, let's talk about DWAYNE "The Rock" Johnson. So DWAYNE showed up at Bad Blood and he said 1, 2, 3. He mimed that with his fingers, and then he did like one of those cutthroat deals. Now, I don't really know exactly what he's going after or what he's saying here. I'm assuming he's just telling Cody Rhodes maybe, hey, I'm going to come after you because I already pinned you 1, 2, 3 night 1 of WrestleMania, and I'm going to do it again. Maybe that's the idea. Look, here's the deal. When we talk about The Rock coming back, let's be clear. I firmly believe, as I have been saying for a while now, that if anybody's going to beat Cody, it's going to be DWAYNE "The Rock" Johnson. It actually makes a shit ton of sense. He is the final boss. He's the big bad guy. You could then maybe do Roman versus Rock for the title. I know WrestleVotes, one of those internet dirt sheet Twitter accounts, has said that a triple threat is on the table. No, duh. I mean, it should be, because otherwise what's Roman going to do? I will just tell you guys my conclusion right now, and then we'll jump into why. How about that? The Rock coming back and winning the championship from Cody Rhodes is a good idea. That's the way to go. That's what they should do. Now, let's run down what the pros and cons are here first. Let's first up bring up the cons. Obviously, he's not going to be around a whole lot to defend the title, and chances are when he drops it, it won't be until the next WrestleMania. So you're looking at a solid 12 months of The Rock being an incredibly, not even a part-time champion. He'll be a cameo champion. He won't be around very much. And that's true. And that is definitely a con. However, if you remember correctly, it's not like Roman Reigns was around all the time during the tail end of his run as champion. And yeah, a lot of people complained, but there was a whole story around Roman Reigns that kind of carried the momentum of SmackDown when Roman Reigns was around. The specter of Roman Reigns was kind of a main character unto itself. I think they'd be able to handle the same thing with The Rock. And I think, look, in the same respect that WWE put that U.S. title on Logan Paul to go get it some more exposure, I think that they would actually be totally cool with The Rock, I don't know, rolling around Hollywood with that undisputed championship, if that's what he's going to do. I think it'd be a good idea because, look, the bottom line is this. Number one, here, I wrote down some notes here. The draft is right after WrestleMania, right? So what do? So you lose out on your main champion being there in a full-time way. So you bring over some heavy hitters from Raw to SmackDown, some Drew McIntyres, maybe a CM Punk or two, probably not Seth Rollins, but like an AJ Styles, an older guy who could still hang. You bring over some of them and you beef up their main event division. At the same time, you got to be building up guys like Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, LA Knight even more. You build those guys up and you do what you should be doing anyways. You just tell some really good stories. You make the United States Championship kind of a de facto top title over there on SmackDown. And you just create stories around the main characters like Cody and all them that don't need the title. You just saw it go down with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, how they didn't really need a story for that. I'm sorry, they didn't really need a title for that amazing story. I'm sorry, I was distracted because my dog is moving around now. There she goes. She lays down right in front of her bed for some reason. She's old, like me. So anyways, that's what you do. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of like this idea better. It gives a real opportunity for something they should be doing anyways, and that's featuring the Women's World Champion or the WWE Women's Champion in a much bigger way. At that point, you can build up bigger stories for the women and have them main event some matches. Maybe you get Bianca Belair back as a solo wrestler. Not saying that Jade is holding her back. I think they could still do the tag team thing, or they can split them up and make that into a major story there on SmackDown. But look, the thing is, like, wrestling the actual championship, as long as The Rock wrestles, like, I don't know, 5 times or so, and you've got a killer product across the board otherwise, I think people would be okay with that. If you have a bunch of different stories that people are just dying to see how they play out, the title is kind of like whatever. We're in it for the characters and the stories. If the title's only there from time to time, okay, big deal. You got a bunch of other cool shit going on. It's wrestling. Who cares? And eventually, either Cody would get it back or Roman would beat Rock or whatever the situation would be. The Rock wouldn't have it forever. Probably just like a year until WrestleMania 42. And then somebody would get it back and they'd go back to being like a full-time champion. The other thing is, too, they got a whole other brand with a world championship over there, which is already being elevated thanks to the likes of Seth Rollins and, of course, Gunther, Damian Priest. And that title, I think, will also have the Drew McIntyres, the CM Punks, Seth Rollins again, people fighting for that title with some intriguing storylines going on. So if you really want your fix of like a top world title, just hit that Netflix button on your Roku and then you're there. And then you're like, oh, cool. Well, at least I have this world title that I can pay attention to. I don't think it would be the end of the world type stuff if The Rock was out cutting these 20-minute promos on Instagram every week with the Undisputed Championship. That to me would actually be fairly entertaining, because the bottom line with all this Rock stuff is, guys, he was the most entertaining thing in the build to WrestleMania this year. All those promos that he was doing on social media when he showed up and he was running down, what was it, Phoenix or whatever it was, for being crackheads and meth heads. That shit was funny. I loved that stuff. I thought that stuff was great. Beating the crap out of Cody Rhodes and making him bleed and saying fuck here and there. I thought that stuff was highly entertaining. It was intriguing. The Las Vegas press event thing that they did, I thought was really cool. The pivot was kind of weird. But if everybody is on the same page, or at least they all are going to tell the same story, then I think it could be incredibly entertaining for The Rock to be Undisputed Champion. I would be okay with that. And at this point, let's face it, Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns. Like the Bruno Sammartino of our era. Cody Rhodes beat that guy. So who's going to beat Cody? It's gotta be The Rock. It's the only person is the final boss. That's the only guy who could beat Cody. And then I guess Cody would have to beat him at like the next WrestleMania. Maybe that's how it would go down. I don't know. But in any event, it would be underwhelming if anybody else did it. If Randy Orton beats Cody Rhodes, maybe a cool story there, but it doesn't. It's Randy Orton. I love Randy Orton, don't get me wrong. He's a great champion. You know, John Cena, that doesn't make any sense. You know, it's got to be somebody huge. And The Rock has kind of positioned himself in that role. It's a real huge WrestleMania moment. It leaves everybody wondering what the hell is going to happen now, because The Rock has the championship. And that's kind of what we love. We love that kind of discourse. Not, oh, what happened in the ratings this week? No, I want to know what the final boss is going to do next. That's fun stuff to talk about. So, Rock not retiring, good idea. The Rock winning the Undisputed Championship, great idea. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's get to some of these other good idea, bad ideas here. Bennett Brochacho says, Obafemi losing the title to Tony D. What a crummy idea that is. On a sunset flip roll-up? What? Hey, I will say this, though. I might do an entire video about how back I think NXT is. It is kind of wild that 3 years ago, Vince McMahon basically completely and totally dismantled their most popular brand and turned it into 2.0, which, yes, I know a lot of you love NXT 2.0. Why? I have no idea. But the black and gold was like the most popular thing they had going. Everybody loved it, and then they just shit it down the toilet because of AEW beating them in the ratings. Boy, how the tides have turned. Anyways, so now they've got the silver and black, which is like basically just Triple H giving Shawn Michaels the black and gold brand back. They're signing up some really, really cool names like they used to back in the day, not just all people who they brought up from college and are building from the ground up and barely know 3 moves. No, you got people like Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. You got a killer women's division there. Shawn Michaels is doing some really good stuff over there, and hopefully they'll continue to sign names like Ricky Starks, not Daniel Garcia now because he's staying with AEW or the Best Wrestle. And yeah, so NXT is totally back. Obafemi, I feel like whoever beat Obafemi, you got to beat Obafemi. And I understand wanting to protect him, but to me, it's not like Tony D'Angelo comes out of this like looking like $1 million. And it's not like Obafemi comes out of this, I don't know, looking good at all, because just getting rolled up by a guy is kind of a weak way to lose in a weird way. So I don't know, man. It wouldn't have been my first choice. Like, full disclosure, I appreciate the work that the performer behind Tony D'Angelo has put in. I appreciate that stuff. I like some of the stuff with the Tony D'Angelo family. I think it's all right. I've always had a problem with like exactly what is the gimmick. He's like a mob boss. That's weird. That being said, I can appreciate the guy. It's just not every wrestler is going to do it for me. And Tony D really hasn't always done it for me, but Obafemi really kind of does, man. That guy is awesome. And I don't know what happens next for him. Maybe a few feuds. Maybe they want him to carry the brand and beat Trick Williams. Although I feel like after Ethan Page got that title off Trick needs a lengthier title run with the NXT Championship. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm really curious to see how the Performance Center is going to look. I really love the look of that St. Louis show they just did this past week. Smaller venue. Look, if they can only get 1,000 people into a venue right now at the stage that they're at, man, tour some of the colleges. Go on tours. Go back to the Performance Center for a month or two and then go back out on tour, because I like the energy of new crowds every week, even if they're smaller, more energetic crowds. I like that stuff. I think it's great. And I think the venue looked really cool. It looked smaller, more intimate, but it still looked like, I don't know, it just looked cool. It had a really cool, buzzy look to it. I was happy with it. Next up, Mr. Dark asks, good idea or bad idea, still having to pay for AEW pay-per-views on Max, even if it's at a discounted price? Well, for those of us who are broke most of the time, it's a bad idea. But any discount is a good discount, because I felt that $50, especially once they expanded to whatever they're at now, 9 or 10 pay-per-views a year, I think asking that of your loyal audience is just too much in this day and age when everything is so goddamn expensive. So I'm going to say any discount is a good discount. I'll be honest with you guys. I felt that the WWE really fucked themselves by offering the WWE Network back in the day, that was 10 years ago, for $9.99. I thought that was a terrible business idea, just a terrible business idea, including the pay-per-views. It devalued the pay-per-views. It was great for us. But I remember thinking to myself, my God, they're leaving a shit ton of money on the table. They're really devaluing their product. And AEW, to their credit, I think understood that and realized that, hey, we can still get 100,000 pay-per-view buys at $50 a pop 4 times a year. And then it turned to 5, then it turned 6. Now it's at 9 or whatever it is. So I hope it's a significant discount. I would love for the Max pay-per-views, if they're $25, I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that's probably fine. I mean, he's a billionaire. I don't know why I'm carrying the water for a billionaire's business plan. So you know what? Fuck it. Down with the billionaires. Eat the rich. Bad idea to have to pay for AEW pay-per-views. Find them on illegal streams for all I give a shit. Melissa Brown says, have one set of men's tag team championship belts and let the champs be able to go to different brands to defend them like the women do. Good idea, bad idea? Great idea. Man, there is nothing more useless right now in WWE than either of the men's tag titles. The tag match on SmackDown last week was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Bloodline retained. And if they keep that kind of energy, I just want that kind of energy for the rest of the division as it pertains to stories, because there are none. There are none. So keep that kind of, over on Raw, the Judgment Day, they never defend those things. Did they just defend them recently? I don't know. Maybe they did. But it's very rare that they actually defend those things. That's terrible. Yeah, I agree. I say unify the titles and allow the tag teams to travel amongst different brands. Get them off the Bloodline, because they really are just doing nothing right there. It's not like Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are involved in stories with other tag teams. It's just they defend them when there are contenders for the titles. And that's it. And I need some more stories to go along with my tag title reign. So yeah, man, get them out of the Bloodline. Get them out of Judgment Day. Unify them. And then have the tag champs go traveling. I think that's a much better idea, because I think they're going to have a really, really decent tag division coming up with the Motor City Machine Guns head to main roster. At some point down the line, you're going to have the Lucha Brothers. And of course, there's tag teams like Fraxium in NXT that at some point are going to come up as well. Let's see here. Amonins says, good idea, bad idea. SummerSlam becoming a 2-night premium live event. I'm for that. I think it's a good idea. Why not? I think from a business standpoint, it's a good idea. From a fan standpoint, I think if they really learned that you can carry one story from one night into the other, and that's how they're going to approach it, I'm a huge fan of that. I think it's great. When they did it back at Wrestle Kingdom, when that shit went 2 nights, I thought it was a cool idea. And so, yeah, I think it's a really good idea to go 2 nights. Why not? Make it a whole celebratory weekend. Fuck it. Make all Big Four pay-per-views. That's where it's headed, by the way. It's going to be Money in the Bank 2 nights, Royal Rumble 2 nights, and then SummerSlam, WrestleMania 2 nights. I don't know about Survivor Series. I don't know about that one. But the other ones, yeah, for sure. The Champ 3875 says, turning Ring of Honor into a second brand since it has history and lineages already built in. Bad idea. You know why? Because overall, the name recognition is not that great. I'm not talking about amongst wrestling fans. I'm talking about AEW is a more recognizable brand at this point in time. So you run with that as the brand. That's what you do. I do think, though, if the question is AEW should split their rosters, should split brands, I think that's a good idea. I think they definitely should do that, because they are terrible at showing us. Like this week, Darby Allin was like, hey, Brody King, why'd you attack me? And I think that attack went down on like Collision or Rampage or something. I don't remember it happening. She's acting a fool back there. I don't know if you heard that or not. Hey, that's enough of that. Anyways, bad idea. Ring of Honor, I don't know. If you put it on Max, maybe more people will watch it. But I like Ring of Honor being sort of their NXT. I think that's fine. Linda Taylor was going to finish this up today. Good idea or bad idea? Triple H cutting off his hair. You guys wanted to see the craziest picture of Triple H? Is that this one right here? Hold on a second. Save image. I'm going to put this one up because it's absolutely hilarious. This picture right here. This is the most cursed image of Triple H I've ever seen. What is happening up there? What is happening with that head of hair? It's not, to me, it's not that him cutting his hair. It's him ever going with this weird Chia Pet design here. I think he's got it right now. Big beard, bald head. I think that worked. It's wild, though, because I think that this would still be his hair if he decided to grow it out. Why would you go bald if you don't need to? That's crazy. Maybe he saw this, was like, yeah, I look like a Chia Pet. Like if he had like, longer hair, poofed it up, made it into like a bouffant or whatever it's called. I don't know how it's called. Yeah, it'd be weird. That'd be a weird looking. So this is a cursed picture of Triple H. So I'll tell you what, great hair genes on this guy though. But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, from a corporate standpoint, I guess a good idea. But man, Linda, you got all this great hair. Why would you cut it? He looked kind of goofy with like as corporate guy with a ponytail. I get it. He looks very intimidating as Kratos, you know, the look he's got now. I don't know what's going on here, though, man. That is a creepy looking picture. Triple H looking at me, staring at your soul. Hey, don't make fun of my Chia Pet hair. What's wrong with my hair? It looks fine. Anyways, that's going to do it for Good Idea, Bad Idea. Remember, you got to hit the subscribe button. You got to hit the other thing, the notify bell. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Yeah, there we go. So that's all I got today. Thursday night. I'm going to go to the gym now because I haven't been all week.